We're going to have more on those Hillary emails in just a minute. But first, a story nobody is talking about but poses risks for your money. President Obama today pushing a new plan to ease student loan debt. Now, among the proposals, the ability to discharge student loan debt in bankruptcy. Up until now, that debt had to be paid back. And the move comes on the heels of a new report which shows many people in this country are getting in over their heads again with all sorts of debt, not just student loans. With us now to examine those implications, Moody's chief economist John Lonski and the National Review's editor-chief Rich Lowry. Welcome to you both, a bang-up panel for this conversation. And John, I'm going to start with you. You know, the president's pushing what he calls a student bill of rights. I got to tell you, this just sounds like debt forgiveness to me. What do you say?
Yeah, it's sort of like a bailout. I think the sad story here is that you've had a lot of relatively poor people get even poorer by going ahead and borrowing money to fund an education that is essentially worthless. It's not providing them with a job.
So, Rich, this is what I hear from people all over the country, in our email, you name it. They're saying, why should we pay for another bailout? Why should we subsidize another group of Americans?
Well, the whole system doesn't make sense because a lot of these loan programs, they're helping spiral tuition ever upwards. At the same time, kids are not getting more from education. A lot of them, in fact, are getting less than they were getting 3 or 4 decades ago. So the whole system needs a rethink. It doesn't just need these ticky-tacky changes towards the ultimate goal of some sort of debt forgiveness scheme.
I think you make a great point. It's really the education system overwhelming everything else. I see you want to say
I think
John.
Rich makes an excellent point. It's very hard to have price inflation without help from excessive borrowing. That's what happened with housing.
Yeah.
That's what's going on with student debt. It's exactly the same thing. And I think we have to take a closer look at the type of education we're providing these students with. Is it going to be worth anything over time, or is it simply a waste of time?
Listen, I have seen shocking statistics on just how much these kids are learning and what they're able to do. It's really, really sad.
Well, also, we just need to rethink. Unfortunately, the main credential in our society now is a 4-year college degree. And the kid at the margin shouldn't be pushed necessarily into trying to do that if it's going to take him 6 years, or he may never get the degree and he's going to take on a lot of debt. There should be other ways to credential people in our society besides that degree.
Federally backed loans, a student loan default rate 13.7%. John, is this sustainable? This can't be sustainable, can it?
No, it's not. Absolutely not. And either the government's going to have to subsidize these defaults, these bankruptcies, or this process is going to come to an end. And when it comes to an end, there's going to be some education institutions that will fold with a curtailment by the supply of well,
we've already seen that with Sweetbriar folding in Virginia. That was a well-known women's college. It's over. It's done. I want to move on to another debt issue quickly, though, and that's credit card debt. It's up 55% in 2 years. And you know what's interesting about this, Rich Lowry, is I don't think the wage growth we've had in this economy actually sustains that kind of spending.
Exactly. Well, part of it is people feeling better about the economy, which is a good thing. But part of it may be this disconnect where we see good, macroeconomic indicators. At the same time, people are not feeling it in their wallets. And this may be the way that they're compensating in terms of the income they can spend. They're just going and borrowing it.
We talk about growing debt, and you and I have talked about this a lot, John. Can these people sustain this kind of debt?
Again, it's a little bit scary when you stop and think that right now, consumer credit approximates 44% of wage and salary income. Prior to the financial crisis, it got no higher than 40%. And let's not forget about the fact that, to an increasing degree, subprime auto loans are helping to fund the growth of auto sales. So there are developments on this front that are worrisome.
We are so hooked on debt. Our entire society. You talk about people who are 18. You talk about people who are 25, 35, 45. All across the spectrum, Rich. It's not just Americans, it's the government, too.
Yeah, it's a culture of borrowing that is driven and encouraged by government at almost every level. And, of course, government itself wouldn't exist if it couldn't borrow and if it didn't have massive red ink.